Hello, and welcome to another episode of Around the Verse. I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Eric Kyron Davis.
This week, we'll dive into flight AI, audio design, and get a load of this, asteroid mining.
Ooh.
But first, let's see what players have been up to in the verse.
Recently, a strange monolithic effigy appeared in the unforgiving Daymar Desert.
All right, we're continuing on with Daymar from the last episode. They're getting more people involved. See, they're getting more community driven. They're focusing on community, which I think is a smart thing to do. That intro kind of cool, but like I'm not quite sure. They better get back into what the hell the intro is about to kind of make me feel like, hey, I need to get more absorbed into the future of what it is that you guys are talking about.
Dubbed the Daymar Rocket Man, this emergent art project was the culmination of 10 players working to position a bunch of ships, including 40 Grey Cat buggies, into the shape of a huge and seemingly happy human.
All right, completely wasting their time. Completely wasting their time.
Sandy, can you name all the ships used to construct said Rocket Man?
Yes, I can. Constellations, caterpillars, there's a couple
Starfare, yeah,
of
yeah. There you go.
Butterflies.
At any rate, impressive work there. Now let's march on to development updates. We've been following the development of Asteroid Mining for a while now, and the mechanic is now feature complete. Yay! With the gameplay team making final tweaks to space friction. Here's Dan Truffin to take us through a full gameplay loop.
Hey, I'm Dan Truffin. I'm the lead system designer in the Frankfurt office, and I'm going to show you.
He looks like Steven Seagal, dude.
On the asteroid mining. Basically, it's an evolution of our planetary mining, and the next logical place to take it would have been space. So here it is.
Nice.
We're
I
here
like
in
that.
the asteroid belt around Yela. We're gonna find a rock and try to extract various important minerals from it.
Mining is very important. Mining and industrial tasks within the game are very, very important. I'm very big in the industrial side of the gameplay. I wish that the frames were actually this smooth when I played it. I think they're getting a little bit better on the frame rates. I see more stability the more that I play Star Citizen, so I'm happy that they're going in the right direction when it comes to the stability. So let's see what they're going to do with mining here.
Generally, rocks are going to be a bit harder to find in space, at least usable rocks. They're going to be a lot further apart. Generally, we use new assets for this, but we also managed to reuse some of the existing rocks. Just with a nice texture. They went again through our mineable rock pipeline.
That looks pretty smooth.
On the inside of them, they also, when they break, they look different from the rocks.
That's a good question, Damon.
The mining process basically works very similar to how you guys are used to. You just aim the.
I think the answer to Damon's question, he's asking, do you think people are going to get sick of having to sit there and just like basically push the button to mine the rock? And I think that there needs to be some type of additional features added to the Prospector and other ships that are mining, so that you're not continuously just holding down the left mouse button and just mining all the time. There should be some type of protocol. You push a button and then like you auto lock and you auto mine. I think there needs to be something like that. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of people that are sick of just sitting there and like holding the button until the rock dissipates. So there probably will be something like that, but also they need to make the in-game assets worth something. They have to be tangibly worth something, and that goes back to our economic talks that we had on our YouTube channel.
Mining laser and try to keep the rock energy level where it needs to be in the optimum zone. You try to keep it in the green zone and not go in the red zone as I am right now. Going in the red zone is a lot more detrimental in space because once the rock explodes, the pieces will end up going in every direction. Since this is space, they take a while to stop. There's no ground to stop them. As you see, they'll be flying and flying and flying. So if you do a bad job, you really will have to run after every piece of rock.
So it's interesting because you actually, you know, the interesting thing about mining in Star Citizen is that you actually have to pay attention to the analysis of the rocks, like what the charts show you as far as how to mine the rock correctly. And each particular rock will have like different ways in which you attack it. So that's kind of cool. And if you incorrectly have the laser on at a certain intensity or for too long, the rock will actually like dissipate outwards or blow up outwards, so that you cannot mine the rock. So basically you essentially have mined the rock incorrectly, and then it adds more, it's not as productive that way. So it's interesting because it makes you actually have to focus on mining. And that's kind of goes into Damon's question. Damon's saying, you know, like, you think people are going to get tired of it? And I'm not quite sure. But I do think it has to do with how, like, what is the intrinsic value of what it is that you're mining? If the intrinsic value of what it is that you're mining has like some serious value to it, you will pay attention to it because it will pay off. But it has to pay off, you know.
Guys, don't mess it up and do what I did.
Right.
You should be able to extract
exactly,
valuable
Damon.
resources.
So like the only combat to that, Damon, and I'm glad you're talking here and you're involved in this episode, dude. Thank you very much. It makes it for a much more interesting episode here on DaGaimez. But like, I think what ends up happening is, to combat that grindy kind of feeling, is that it has to be worth something, you know. It has to, you know, and that is all very dependent upon what the market's willing to pay for it. Otherwise, you're not going to have people mining or the production that you're looking for, you know. And then what will it be? All NPC? Who knows? Also, the harder and more time it takes to mine, the more expensive goods will ultimately be. Should end up being that way, correct, Damon? Correct. So like, the more difficult it is for certain types of rocks to mine for the particular minerals that you're looking for, the more value that they should have. That is how the market should work.
Manage to keep your extractor beam in the same position, you'll extract faster. If you move it around on the rock, they'll extract slower. So obviously a rock that is hurtling through space is going to be slower to extract. That's about it. I'm really not going to spend time searching all of these rocks. They might take a while to get all of them, but hope you guys enjoy this.
That's pretty good.
That's not all from the exciting world of mineral extraction. New surface-side rocks are being introduced as well.
The environment team has been working on mineable formations for the acidic biome.
It looks very smooth.
And its moon Ariel.
They've been improving the existing rock generator pipeline to create a variety of different shapes faster. Not only does this help when creating new types of minerals, it also helps improve the look of existing mineable rocks and adds clear visual differentiation between their exterior and interior textures.
The audio team has been working on a feature that lets the player focus their listening. This will allow you to listen to specific cues or conversations, even if you're in a crowded room or noisy area.
Let's go to Bob Rizzolo and Simon Price for more on this feature.
So listener focus is a new feature we're working on to mimic the phenomenon that happens when you focus intently on something. You get this sense of tunnel vision. You kind of focus on what's in front of you and everything behind you starts to blur out. Well, we want to do this with audio. The thing that you're
Wow, that's getting intensely detailed. So they're going to actually have, I don't know how they're going to do this. I'm curious how they're going to do this.
looking at intently comes sharply into focus in the mix, and then everything else drops back into the background.
Which is
It
cool
allows
for vision.
better immersion. It really kind of
What about
has that
sound?
realistic feel to it because it's a natural phenomenon.
The listener focus effect is sometimes called the cocktail party effect. So I thought I'd load into Cafe Muzan to demonstrate it today. So here we are in game. I'll enable some debug commands so we can visualize what the audio engine's doing. The grey balls represent a neutral focus because we're not paying attention to any person in the bar right now. I'll play a little dialogue so you can hear the reference levels.
What do you want? Whiskey, beer, or whiskey?
You can hear the bartender struggling over the music, and Eckhart over the other side is barely audible. Now imagine we're really thirsty. I set the focus to be on the bartender. The music dies down, and their red balls represent negative focus.
What do you want? Whiskey, beer, or whiskey?
We can hear the bartender clearly now. If we zoom back out, we can hardly hear Eckhart at all. Imagine we're not thirsty. We're looking for a mission. We're here to meet someone. I've set the focus onto Eckhart. The green balls represent a positive focus. So here I'm using the effect additively. I'm not only bringing down sounds that we're not interested in, but we're raising Eckhart so that we can hear him from all the way across the bar. And that's how the listener focus effect works.
We've previously taken looks at some of the background effects and details the various teams have been developing to make Lorville feel like a bustling.
That is really interesting. That actually is really interesting how they basically I don't know how what is the predictor on realizing what me as the gamer is focusing on. You know, like how do they know because I'm going after a mission versus wanting something to drink? I'm not quite sure, but very cool. I mean, like if they can actually basically determine what my focus is, I think that's really, really awesome. Like that's pretty cool. That's very cool. Hey, Jiro, welcome to the stream, man.
Kinetic Location. One such detail that is being worked on currently is the presence of AI-controlled non-combat ships taking off and landing at the city's interstellar transit hubs.
Here's Andre Beku to walk us through the process of getting these ships into and out of Lorville.
All right.
Hello, my name is Andre Beku. I'm a senior system designer on Star Citizen. At the moment for 3.3, I am working on enabling civilian AI ships to appear over Lorville, then make their way down to the city, touch down, stick around for a bit, take off again, make their way back to orbit, and then quantum travel somewhere else. What I can show you here is in a test environment what this looks like.
Okay, so
this
guy,
is a Starfarer.
Okay, so this guy's going to be working on all the NPC kind of like ship and like ships around you, landing around you. So that's pretty cool that they're going to have, that makes the game very immersive to have like an actual cityscape or like other ships coming in, coming out, so that you're actually feeling like, wow, it's hustling, it's bustling, something's happening. So let's see.
Coming down from orbit via a spline, which is basically a pre-placed path. Once the Starfarer has reached this placeholder landing pad, it will switch over to the takeoff and landing system, which is powered by the IFCS. It will then touch down, stick around for a few seconds, though this is still placeholder. In the final version, they will stick around for longer. The IFCS lets it take off again, and then it switches back to the pre-placed spline, the path which will take it back to orbit.
Launch sequence complete.
Do it.
This is the environment where the city will be, but with everything else but the splines made invisible. The splines are those blue paths. They are coming down from the orbit to the surface of the planet where the landing zones are, which are those LZs here. And then there are more splines going back into orbit. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to give the ship a more cinematic feel by adding something that looks like the air brake that ships usually do in other cinematic products. So in this case, for example, this is the orientation of the ship, which I can adjust on the spline. So I will pull up its nose a bit, and on the next point, maybe a bit more. And then on the final one, it goes down a bit again, and this is when IFCS takes over. And on the next spline, everything is already taken care of by the automated system, but if, for example, I wanted it to fly a bit more straight for a bit, I could do this.
They're trying to make them look as realistic as possible on the takeoffs and the landings.
So this is what we're working on for 3.3. We hope you like it, and see you in the verse.
Here we see more of the props, in this case cable sets, being polished and implemented into utilitarian hangars and other locations around Lorville.
What's up, Sam?
Working on combat AI for FPS situations.
Oh, Star Miner. Hey, Star Miner.
Turns.
Welcome to the family, Star Miner. Thank you for joining us here. Okay.
Guard and patrol behaviors using new idle animations, hit reactions both in and out of cover, and search path logic. Anyone joining us on October 10th in Austin, Texas for CitizenCon 2948 should take advantage of a fun concept.
Which, by the way, I'm very vocal about. I have talked about it plenty on my YouTube channel. This whole digital ticket thing that they, Chris did a 180 on, and now it's free, which is great because we get to see the things that we need to see. And I'm gonna be streaming that day for everybody so that we can all talk about this together. But like, CitizenCon on a Wednesday, and I know there's a lot of citizens out there that are like, hey, but it's the 10th, and traditionally 10th is the day for CitizenCon. I mean, like, they could have done this on a weekend and gotten a lot more exposure. I think they completely screwed this up, so they better have an amazing Easter egg. They better have something really groundbreaking at the CitizenCon, or it's going to be PR death, I think, for them for the next couple months. So let's see. Hey, Crom, welcome to the stream, bro.
Contests we have going right now.
Yeah, you can enter your best ideas for new emotes